what so proudly we held, and its twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Thank you, ma'am. Class 1, you need to be in the holding area. Class 1, into the holding area. Our judge for this morning is Miss Jeremy Viator. We want to thank her for coming up today. We will have 6 classes today in our Heifer show. After the 6 classes, we'll come back for placing of the champion reserve. Then we'll have a junior showmanship and then a senior showmanship. All the awards will be presented this afternoon. And that's when your sales meeting will be this afternoon. Don't know approximately what time, be 3 or 4 o'clock. They will make an announcement. Out of Class 1, Exhibitor 334, J. Hamonte Coon, Caney Creek, FFA. 335, Quincy Walker, Magnolia West, FFA. 336, Nate Newton, Lake Creek, FFA. 337, Shane Hand, Outback 4-H. And 338, Hayes Hagemeyer, Willis Jr., FFA. First call, Class 2, move to the holding area. First call, Class 2, move towards the holding area.
you're going to be first, young man. You're going to be second. Come on. Really nice pair to start off our replacement female show today. And I'm going to tell you, I'm fortunate. I get to sort a lot of cattle shows, and this is as close a pair as I've seen in a long time. Now, granted, one's an American cross female, one's an exotic cross female, and there's some really subtle differences. And my compliments to all the exhibitors in this class, because all of these cattle are very sound. So after you evaluate the cattle on soundness, you start to ask you things about some small things about balance and muscle and just how the cattle are assembled. And I think the young man's female that wins the class for me, in my mind, I always project him out in the pasture, and I think about her in the pasture, and I think she's going to be super soft and easy fleshing, very nice to the ground. I love her from her chest floor back to her flank in terms of depth and just how she balances up really well. You know, in a comparative manner, the subtle differences between the two is that the young man strip face female tucks her shoulder in maybe just a touch nicer, but she doesn't handle her hind leg quite as good. She's not quite as wide based, and some of that I think is just maturity and condition difference between the two cattle. So I opted to use one that's really cowy and soft and deep bodied. Young man in second, though, if you want to say his female's longer neck, flatter shouldered, maybe just a touch fresher, I don't argue any of those things. I just like the cowy, big bodied one to win. Young man, though, with this really fresh female there in second, super attractive. You like her in terms of strength at top. You like her in terms of just levelness. Yep. As I said, not quite as aesthetically pleasing on her hind leg. She's sound, maybe just a bit not quite as comfortable in terms of how she sets that back foot down, just round, touch rounder in her hip. He does a good job of getting her loin. But if I think about her out in the pasture, she's going to be really attractive, round-barreled, wide enough chested, nice cow prospect. And then we come around with the shorthorn female next. Young man, let's go ahead and lead her out. Very similar in terms of balance and eye appeal as the female that stands right in front of her. What she gives up is depth of flank. You back away from that female, she just chisels up from her chest floor into her flank. We want to drop her down some. He's done a nice job with that female. I like her in terms of power, in terms of hip width. The upper part of her hip is just as wide as she is down low. Just want to body her down a little bit. The two next females, the young man has the advantage in terms of presentation. He does a great job getting that heifer shown. I sure appreciate that. His female is one that, you, from a balance standpoint, from a side profile in terms of depth of rib and how she assembles all the things together. Where I'd like to change her is width of chest and just total body width. When you look at her from behind, she's pretty flat in her rib, and you look at her, she just naturally stands. She closes up in her chest. So we could pull her apart some, but young man, you've done a nice job feeding and working with that female. The next female, if you want to say that Baldy has just a touch more true muscle, I don't argue with you because she is stouter behind her shoulder. She's wider chested. I think she gives up some in terms of foot and bone power. Doesn't balance quite as nice as you back away from her, but still a sound, functional, practical female. Good class to start off with. Congratulations to all the exhibitors.
Results Class 1. First place goes to 338, Hayes Hagemeyer, Willis Jr., FFA. Second goes to 337, Shane Han, Outback 4-H. Third was 334, Jay Amante Kuhn, Caney Creek, FFA. Fourth was 336, Nate Newton, Lake Creek, FFA. And fifth was 335, Quincy Walker, Magnolia West, FFA. This is Class 2. Exhibitor number 339 is Bailey Traylor, Champion 4-H. 340 is Trey Pittman, Champion 4-H. 341, Sophia Hernandez, Montgomery Jr., FFA. 332 is Cohen Schonauer, Champion 4-H. 343, Wiley Silas, Evening Star 4-H. And 344, Ryan Barron, Montgomery, FFA. Class 3, come to the holding area, please. Class 3, check in at the holding area.
I've seen classes of fifth grade boys with less variability than this class. There's a lot of difference here. But let's go ahead and lead off. We're going to talk about them each one at a time so you can see what I'm seeing here. The young man that's going to win the class, his heifer doesn't have a big hole in her. And as you evaluate this female, you ask yourself, is she sound? Is she feminine? Young man, you can just point out at that gate right over here. She's sound. She's feminine. She's attractive. You read her in terms of slopes and angles. You read her in terms of muscularity and rib shape. All of those things are extremely correct on that female. Is she the stoutest female in the class? No, she's not, but I think she has enough muscle that goes along with the completeness that she has, and that's why she wins the class. She's the easy decision for me. The next three cattle, I think you have to make some decisions, and it just depends on where you place your priorities. I'm going to tell you, for me, this heifer is a little plain-headed, a little short-necked, and a little boulder-shouldered. But with that said, go ahead and stop her right there, young man. The thing that her advantage is that she's sounder than the next female right behind her. When you read her in terms of the angle from the top of her shoulder to the point of her shoulder and then the curvature to her knee, she's more correct in the design and the slope to her shoulder, and I think there's more longevity to her structure. Absolutely, I'd like to pretty her up in her front 1/3, but I think that soundness advantage allows her to get into the second hole. This female, when she came in, the next one that stands here in third, I thought, wow, here's the one that I'm really going to like. And then I kind of caught a glance of her front end, and I watched while I walked over. And when you get right in front of this female, the weight on her front feet is on the outside of her hoof wall. She tends to be on the outside of her front end, just not built right. And from slope to shoulder to her knee and then all the way down to the ground, she wants to open up some, want to redesign her whole front end. That contributes to how she handles her top as well. That's why she comes up in her spine some. You can see right here, she just wants to rock forward a little bit in her knee. Young lady, you've done a nice job at home in terms of that heifer. You've got all that you can get in terms of freshness and just where she's presented today. I want to compliment you on that. Unfortunately, just need to realign her structure somewhat. Really big top heifer, really big ribbed, and I appreciate all those things about her. The tan heifer that stands here next, you look at her and, she's the one that it fits next best in terms of having some top shape, some hip width. Where I'd like to change her is through her midsection. She's really flat in her rib. We want to open her up right behind her shoulder, and she just doesn't blend from her top into her forerib as stout as we'd like to see, but still sound enough, maybe just a little plainer headed as well. And then we come next with one that's really easy fleshing. She's kind of like me. She needed to push away from the dinner table a little bit sooner, but it's kind of who she is because she's more moderate frame. She's a shorter cannon kind of female. So we lean her up. We want to see that female a bit longer necked, but you kick her out in the pasture, she's going to hold her flesh and has some body and some thickness to her. We like all those things. Young man that concludes the class, a little frailer made female. You look at her in terms of bone, in terms of just balance. She gives up some of the things that just the extremes that we'd like to see. Her neck comes out of her shoulder a little lower. But with those things said, you think about the good on that female. She's really deep barreled, wide through her midsection, has enough muscle. She'll make a nice practical using cow, maybe just not one that has the extremes to make some changes for somebody's herd. Young man does an excellent job showing that heifer as well. Congratulations to all those exhibitors.
Results of Class 2. First place goes 344, Ryan Barron, Montgomery, FFA. Second was 343, Wiley Silas, Evening Star 4H. Third was 339, Bailey Trailer, Champion 4H. Fourth was 340, Trey Pittman, Champion 4H. Fifth was 341, Sophia Hernandez, Montgomery Jr., FFA. And sixth was 342, Cohen Schaunauer, Champion 4H. Class 4, come to the holding area. Class 4, move to the holding area. This is Class 3 in the arena. 345 is Riley Davis, Willis, FFA. 346 is Lane Johnson, Conroe Jr., FFA. 347, Cheyenne Walters, Outback 4H. 348, Carly Ensign, Trails in 4H.
You're going to be first. I'm going to be second. Just come around this way and park right in the middle. Really good pair up here at the top. And sometimes when you get into a close pair, you just kind of got to go with your gut. And I always say I place them as I'd buy them. And I tell you what, I could have a pasture full of 1,000 of either one of these and stay in the cow business for a long time. But that red brockle face female is so fresh and appropriate in her condition and still wide at her chest and wide from behind. She's extra long bodied, perhaps the longest sided female that we've seen here today. Hits the ground really, really well. Level hip, level design, just a good, complete kind of a female. Taking nothing away from the black female because she's a notch more moderate. She's a lot like a couple of our previous class winners in that she's just really easy fleshing and really nice in her balance from her chest floor back to her flank. I like to stretch this female out. Just give her a notch longer hip and front end, maybe lean her up a touch comparative to our class winner. But again, when you kick out in the pasture, she's going to hold her flesh forever. Just a good, moderate, basic, functional female. Good kind. Want to lean her up maybe just a touch. The blue roan female is one that you like her rib shape. Boy, in terms of just a box for her rib shape, she's really cool there. Her neck is neat in terms of design. Where we want to change this female is just in terms of how she handles her hind leg. You watch that female go, just doesn't get out and stride off of her hind leg. When she stops, she's super attractive and probably a little longer and flatter fronted than that one right in front of her, but it's when we get her on the go that she just kind of loses the race. Let's go ahead and lead her out. You just want to give her more flex to her hock, and I think that would add to her longevity, but appreciate the power, appreciate the openness to her midsection. Dark or tan colored, gray colored female that we have here, similar in terms of rib shape, in terms of just openness to her midsection. She doesn't balance up. When you back away from her, you can see there's more weight proportion in the front 1/3 of her body, just a little plainer up there. Wants to tuck up at her flank ever so slightly. But in terms of soundness, in terms of cow practicality, she does good things there. Just doesn't balance up as well as some of those others ahead of her. Good class. Again, congratulations to those exhibitors.
Results, Class 3. First place goes to 348. Carly Ensign trails in 4H. Second goes to 345. Riley Davis, Willis, FFA. Third was 347. Cheyenne Walters, Outback 4H. And fourth was 346. Lane Johnson, Conroe Jr., FFA. Class 5, need to check in at the holding area. Class 5, you need to come to the holding area. This is Class 4, 349. Ryland Boswell, Montgomery, FFA. 350 is Callie Weeble, Magnolia West, FFA. 351, Sarah Beth Cathy, Willis, FFA. 352, Dylan Darnell, Willis, FFA.
We're going to make this one easy. You're going to place 1, 2, 3, 4 just as you are. So come on around, young man. Just follow along right here. Just park right over there. It kind of breaks into a two-pair class, and you can go ahead and just right over here. She's a female two females at the top, you look at them and you say, okay, they're both big-bodied, they're both good structured. Now let's break them down in terms of how they put those pieces and parts together. So the black female, I think she comes out of the top of her shoulder into her forerib more appropriately. She just blends, and I think when you kick her out in the pasture, there's actually more true doability in that black female than we see in the gray female. I think in terms of just pasture forage efficiency, and you combine that with balance and muscle, and then how she sets to the ground, she's probably the most complete female. Young lady does a great job with the gray female getting her shown. She's an extra rib long, and that contributes to the fact she gets a little shallower in her forerib. You look at that female, the top of her shoulder in her forerib. We just want to open that female up just a little bit. Beautiful in terms of length of hip, in terms of the power and foot and bone, just not quite as soft there in her forerib compared to our class winner. Well presented. Good job, young lady. And then in the pair with the two American females here, or higher percentage American females, I should say, the black female is more pulled apart in terms of her body cavity. She's stouter in terms of muscle and bone. We'd obviously like to loosen her at her loin. She wants to be up at her hip there some, and that contributes that she's just a little not quite as attractive as she goes. Young lady's done a nice job working her through that. The brindle female is one that certainly has an advantage in terms of being looser spine. She's one, though, that we want to change in terms of just straightness to her hock. Want to belly her down a little bit. Real pretty, attractive headed, attractive fronted female. Just want to power her up from end to end. Young man does a great job getting her shown. Congratulations, that class really sorted pretty easy.
Results, Class 4. First place goes 352, Dylan Darnell Willis, FFA. Second was 351, Sarah Beth Cathy Willis, FFA. Third was 350, Callie Weeble, Magnolia West, FFA. Fourth was Ryland Boswell, Montgomery, FFA. Class 6, you need to check in at the holding area. Class 6, move to the holding area. This will be Class 5, Exhibitor 353, Kendall Weot, Champion 4H. 354, Greenlee Wallace, Champion 4H. 355, Kimber Nailway, Trails in 4H. 356, Carolyn Adams, Champion 4H. 357, Gracie Rhodes, College Park, FFA.
Well, the first and biggest compliment I can give to the exhibitors in this class is I wouldn't mind owning all five of these females, because I think just in terms of cowiness and body and substance and what you can do in a breeding program, they all have some things that you really like, and there's lots of good in these cattle. And then I'll say that we certainly turn the heat up in terms of competition, in terms of just quality from top to bottom in the class. And then the next thing is, I'll say this one with the low watermark, as I kind of kid about it when they sheared off like this. This one is a heater, and when you look at her in terms of quality, in terms of substance and cow power, and yet she still has some width and dimension to it, ties it in nice at her shoulder. She's really good in terms of being square at the ground. If you want to get super, super picky, and I'm talking like really critical, for me, she's a hair shallow heeled on the back of her heel, but that's getting, like really, really picky, because that's part of what contributes to the softness that she has and the give that she has to her structure. That female is so diverse in terms of how you can breed her and what you can do. Just a high quality, really good female you have to appreciate. Now, if she wasn't in this class, I'd probably say a lot of the same things about this brindle heifer, because this brindle heifer is massive in her top shape and her hip. You love her bone and her footwork. You could set her down ever so slightly in her tail head. And young lady, I'd encourage you, when you have one that has a bit of tail head like that, I don't know that you need to loin her, because we loin cattle to pick their pins up, and in turn what that does, it picks their tail head up. And she's good enough hip. That female, like I said, if that white one wasn't in here, you say all those things about this brindle, because she's really good. You look at her foot design, you look at her rib cage, you look at the length of spine that she has. That's just a good bow. I like her really, really well. Then the Brockle face is one I moved up a notch. And what I saw and why I swapped the pair is just how the carriage and the set and the structural design of her from her loin back. I gave up just a touch of maybe, I don't want to say power, but I gave up a touch of midsection in order to get the softness of structure that I really like. This long and level and parallel in her line, super attractive from the side, gets a little flatter bone comparative to those two right in front of her, but just super maternal, and that added flex is why she moved up a spot. I love the Angus appearing or Angus cross female here in the next spot. Huge barrel and rib shape in that female. I love that about her. She's so bold and so wide. I think when you kick her out in the pasture, that female is going to loosen up some. We hold her back on the move some today, because when you get behind her, she wants to open up just a little bit on her hind leg. I could see where she does some things on her, just a bit restricted off of her hind wheel. I like her as a cow prospect. As I said, I think you lean her up, kick her out in the pasture, some of that goes away. I don't read her to be unsound. I read her to be hesitant today in her move, just doesn't quite get out and flex and reach as I'd like her to. Good showman there, good female as well. Young lady that we conclude with, she just runs into a really tough class. This female is you like her in terms of just round ribbed and has some doability to her. And that added doability comes out. You see she just has more fat and condition in her chest floor. She trends downward there, throws her balance off some. But the practical pieces are there. She's a hair straight. You want to maybe give her just a little more slope to her shoulder and give her a little more angle to her knee. But other than that, young lady, she's done a nice job with her. Fed her well. Congratulations to her. Let's go ahead and pull her out. Nice class. We certainly upped the competition there in the top end of that one.
Results of Class 5. First place goes to 357 Gracie Rhodes, College Park, FFA. Second goes to 353 Kendall Wiat, Champion 4H. Third goes to 354 Greenlee Wallace, Champion 4H. Fourth goes to 355 Kimber Nelway, Trails Inn 4H. And 356 was Caroline Adams, Champion 4H. This is Class 6. Exhibitor number 358, Asley Porter, Evening Star 4H. 359, Faith Nichols, Montgomery County 4H Dog Club. 360, Caleb Bowen, Champion 4H. 361, Carson Foster, Magnolia 4H. I need the first and second place heifers from the first 5 classes back into the holding area. First and second place from each class. Out of Class 1, we'll need 338 and 337. Out of Class 2, 344, 343. Out of Class 3, 348, 345. Out of Class 4, 352, 351. Out of Class 5, 357, 353.
When you get to where you're looking at that gate, you just head towards that gate and stop right there because we're going to place them 1, 2, 3, 4. I think the guys in the back been placing them ahead and sending them in placed already is what they've been doing. They're making it easy for me. Just making it to where I just can pull them in and talk them. That's what's happening. You think so? You agree? He said, I don't know. So it actually lines up pretty good, and I'm kidding, but as you evaluate the cattle, young man with the brown-colored, tan-colored female, exceptionally fresh female, one that you love in terms of length and extension and pattern and all those things. I like that she's showing us a little bit of udder development there. She might be just a hair long-teated for some folks. She's perfect in her hawk motion, but I think she's the soundest option of the top pair. She has enough flex for me. Young man does an awesome job getting her stuck. The gray female I probably like a little better when she's stopped than when she gets on the go. From her mid-rib forward, she runs with our class winner. It's right that little roll of extra where she's a little tighter in her spine, and that contributes to how she handles her hind leg all the way to the ground. As I said, when she's stopped, boy, she's going to hunt. But when she gets on the go, she really her hind legs kind of disappoint you. They get a little tangled up, not quite as good in terms of their flex and motion there. But I think that's a really good using female. Could go into making some American steers. Good bodied, very well balanced. And that balance is her advantage over this black female. Black female gives up some in terms of total rib cage, in terms of total hip. But really where we want to change her is her balance. We want to tuck her chest floor up, tie her in a little better right behind her shoulder. I love just the face and feature, the design of that female, extra maternal. Just falls out of bed in terms of power relative to those two right in front of her. And then the girt female is one that you like in terms of length, in terms of extension. Want to flatten her at the top of her hip, give her a little more width right behind her shoulder relative to some of those others. Just gets a little closed up as she goes away from you. Again, one that I appreciate the udder design and development there. Good class of cattle top to bottom.
Results, Class 6. First place goes 361, Carson Foster, Magnolia, 4H. Second was 360, Caleb Bowen, champion 4H. Third was 359, Faith Nichols, Montgomery County 4H Dog Club. And fourth was 358, Asley Porter, Evening Star 4H. We're now going to go for the selection of our champion and reserve. We will also place the next three. We'll place 5 calves in order. That's for our point system and our prize money later on. Out of Class 1, I need 338. Hayes Hagemeyer, Willis Jr., FFA. Out of Class 2, exhibitor number 344, Ryan Barron, Montgomery, FFA. Out of Class 3, exhibitor 348, Carly Ensign, Trails Inn, 4H. Out of Class 4, 352, Dylan Darnell, Willis, FFA. Out of Class 5, 357, Gracie Rhodes, College Park, FFA. Out of Class 6, exhibitor 361, Carson Foster, Magnolia, 4H. Before she makes this selection, we want to once again thank our judge for today's show, Ms. Jeremy Viator.
I'm not wondering what I'm going to use for champion. I'm wondering what I'm going to do for 2, 3, 4, and 5 is where I'm thinking about out here and how we're going to talk about this. But let's. I think we're getting to the culmination of a week of shows. I think we're about that. If I read the schedule right, let's put our hands together. There's lots of people that make these shows happen, and tell them thank you. I know I personally appreciate the time and effort from a volunteer standpoint of what it takes to do this. And then the next thing is you young folks, if you're up here today or if you're back in the stalls, be sure to say thanks. Whether it be an ag teacher or parents or a friend, whoever helps you to get here. In today's world, it takes a lot of money to get to show cattle, and be sure you say thankful and show some grace there, some appreciation for those 4-H agents or ag teachers as well, brothers, sisters, whoever, because like I said, it's not an easy game these days in terms of cost to afford to be out here. I'm fortunate. I appreciate the fact to get to judge or drive less than an hour to get to sort. I don't get to do that very often. Usually I fly or drive somewhere. So I checked cows this morning at home and then just drove about 45 minutes to be here. So I appreciate the opportunity to be here. And then we'll talk about this maybe later on, but I will say, because we're going to lose a little bit of the crowd here, you young folks that are here from Montgomery County, from the surrounding schools, and then parents, I say this at every show I judge, and the reason I do it is because it's my why. It's why I get to do this, and I believe it's a God-given opportunity to be able to have this mic and say this. I hope that each and every one of you, when you're out in your community and you guys are in a huge metropolitan area, I hope you'll take the time to talk about agriculture to your friends, to people in the community, that we in the beef industry have a safe product, it's very nutritious, and we're the stewards of the land in terms of taking care of our land, whether it be in a metropolitan area or larger places and a lot of big ranches that I've been fortunate to work on. You guys that are here in the audience, if you have a chance, you're going to talk to your doctors or your lawyers, your preachers, school teachers, whomever, and then you young people ringside and back in the barn. Be sure to have those conversations, because if you don't, there's going to be another side that talks about agriculture, and they may not talk about it in a positive way that we do. They may not see it in the same way that we do in terms of the positives there, and I want you to take that opportunity to have those conversations, because here's the deal. If we don't, there's other people that are going to have conversations with our congressmen, our legislators. We may not like the story that they tell. So please make sure you tell the positive story of agriculture as you're out and about in your community. Like I said, that's my why. That's why I get to judge livestock shows. With that said, I'm going to go out and pick you 5. This lineup, I'll tell you this, this show, it flows really good today in terms of just the ease of sorting it. I like our lineup out here. Probably a little easier to sort than it was last year. I think our quality is a little better top to bottom. And I want to say congratulations to the breeders, the exhibitors, for what you've brought out here. With that said, I'm going to go out and pick our top 5.
Your champion went to 357, Gracie Rhodes, College Park. This is Kendall Wiot moving up in line. Whenever I get to cellular like this, I'll leave it on. Your reserve went to Hayes Hagemeyer Willis, FFA. We need 337, Shane Hand into the arena. That was 361. Carson Foster going to number 3. I need 360. Caleb Bowen in the arena. Number 4 went to Kendall Wiat, champion 4H. I need 354. Greenlee Wallace in the arena. I gotta get the other heifer in here.
Have to pull the third in. Okay, hold on. We need a third place from Class 5.
Greenlee Wallace, exhibit 354. You need back into the arena. Exhibit 352 was Dylan Darnell. That was Willis FFA. That's the 5 we needed for our point system. The animals in the arena are released back to the barn at this time. Then we will, once we clear the arena, then we'll call for the junior showmanship. Junior showman is going to be about 10 minutes. We're going to have pictures made with their champion, and then we'll call you up. Be junior showmanship first, 13 and under as of today. Seniors are 14 and over as of today. Somebody really needs to be taking a picture of the photographers.
Showmanship will get rolling in about 5 minutes. Got a couple of more people to get back in the arena, and then we'll be good to go. Once again, Junior Showman, 13 as of today, $5 at the gate.
Junior showmanship, you need to be in the holding area. It's $5 at the gate, winner take all. 13 and under, as of today, is the age. You'll also be given a slip of paper. The one who wins, you'll fill that paper out with your jacket size, turn it into the main fair office, and they will get you a jacket in your size for winning the showmanship. Senior showmanship, move to the holding area. Senior showman, move to the holding area.
A lot of these cattle are getting tired, and young people are too. But this young man, when I'm sorting the show all day today, I'm sorting showmanship at the same time, and this young man just rocks it in terms of understanding where that heifer needs to be set, how she needs to be set. His poise and attention to details is impeccable. I like his presence, and he and that heifer have spent a lot of time working together. You can see that just in how they work together. Every once in a while, a couple of real small things. That heifer, she doesn't like to put the judge's back foot back all the time, and you got to watch. Every once in a while, she didn't keep it there, and you're not catching that. And then the other thing, sometimes you're wanting to drag on her a little bit as you're getting tired and she's getting tired. So just be careful about just dragging on her so much, okay? But you rocked it. You did an awesome job. Congratulations to him. And then the rest of them are not placed in any particular order, so I'm just going to make some comments as you go ahead and lead out. Young man with the black and white heifer, I think just getting that heifer set up over and over and over so both you and she knows when she's set up correctly. There's times when she moves a hind leg and you're not catching it, so we just want to work on maybe getting her set up. Nice heifer, nice young man. Here with this red baldy female, she's done a nice job all day long. That heifer gets a little sleepy on you. You got to watch her, just like right now. You got to work at picking her head up. And I know you're little and she's big, but she's just, the tireder she gets, the lower her head's getting. So we got to work at getting her head set up. There's times that I want you to work at, you're getting a little further back in the line. When we are in profile over here in champion lineup, if some of those heifers are circled out, don't let them get you way back there. It's okay to come on out or ask somebody to help you. Young lady that comes next with the white heifer, we just got to work at getting set up a little quicker. That heifer's not working with you quite as easy, so we just want to get you setting up and walking into being set up a little quicker. Young lady with the gray heifer, I want you to slow down. Just slow down and everything. And when you loin her, you're hitting her top really hard. Let's loin her gently, okay? Young lady with the brindle heifer does an excellent job. The heifer's getting tired. I guess the thing I'd encourage you is slow your motions down because you're a really good showman. I just want you to take a deep breath and slow down. Don't be quite so extreme in your motions, but a good showman. Nice job top to bottom for all of our junior showmen. Congratulations to them.
Your champion junior showman goes to Exhibitor 361, Carson Foster, Magnolia 4-H. Okay, there was enough calves come back. We're going to do 2 heats of seniors. I'm going to split it up.
Okay, you three will come back for our senior finals, and this actually, I tell you what, y'all come back and listen after. I don't want to give away too much, but just come back and listen, and I'll tell you some of the things you can improve upon after the next heat. So you three will come back. You three, I appreciate you coming back. Come back and listen though, and I'll tell you some of the small things that made some decisions for me. Okay, you four that are profile will come back for our finals, and you three over here will be dismissed. And just for, as I said in the previous group, some small things. It's spacing that makes some decisions. It's how you're setting your animal up. If you're pulling up when you need to, how your animal's responding to you. So just a combination of things, and then how you work that animal's head. So those are where I'm making some cuts and some decisions. So we'll go ahead and let you three lead out of the ring. And then you four, if you want, you can go head out and then come back in, or you can stay in. It's up to y'all. Y'all somebody make a call on that. Folks, remain in ringside. Let's put our hands together for our senior showman here. I'm going to describe a few things because I really hadn't made my mind up yet and hadn't decided where I'm going to go. But I will tell you, I have 3 finalists here, and starting with the young lady in the pink on the right. I think she's had some success under me before. I may not be wrong, but I think she's been in the hunt before, and she knows when I tell her to do this, that it's to straighten up and relax her shoulders, because every once in a while she gets really hunkered down. And what I tell my young people is, if you'll take a deep breath when you walk in and just relax your shoulders, okay? Just that'll help you just to relax your whole demeanor. There's times where that old heifer gets a little sleepy on you. You got to pick her head, just pop her head a time or two. And I understand she's getting tired. You got to watch, too, that staying straight in line. Every once in a while, you get just a little far back in line. But I love your stick speed. I think you get that heifer set as consistently as anybody out here and do a really good job. Young man got a little nervous on me out here and turned an extra time or two. There's a time you turned where you could have just taken a step up. So I'd caution you about that. This guy is one cool cucumber, though, in terms of just being slow and easy. And I've tried to just kind of throw a curveball or two at him, some subtle things, but he's really handled it well. I would just encourage you, if you leave enough space, you don't have to turn. You can just make that step up. But I think he does an awesome job. There was one mistake you made over here. You let that heifer get a hair stretched. She stretched and you didn't catch it, is what it was. She just had a back wheel, back leg back a couple inches extra. But like I said, that was each of you. I'm just telling you what your mistake has been. Young lady with the black heifer, she has the hardest heifer to show. You have to hold that heifer together, because the longer she's out here, the tireder she gets and the more she wants to come forward on her knee. And she just, like I said, she has to hold her together. I guess the thing that I would suggest is, when you loin her, go easy on loining her. You're a little pokey about it sometimes. And then there's times where she doesn't have her weight on her far back leg. And I think it's just who she is, and you just got to be aware that every once in a while she comes forward on it. Again, great stick speed, really work that heifer's head really well. I think you do a nice job there. So with that said, I think, as you can see, my seniors champion showman is pretty difficult this time. Just to make my mind up on the 3. I've talked long enough trying to get you guys to screw up, to be honest. Just trying to get you to mess up here. I think last year we might have talked on the mic for just a minute. I don't remember if we did that here or not. Did we do that here last year with the seniors? Yeah? Y'all want them to talk on the mic? Oh, guess what? Y'all get to talk on the mic. I wasn't going to do that, but let me do that too. So here's the first question I always ask, and I promise you it's not hard. Okay? You won't screw this up. Okay? I promise. Okay? She's laughing at me. She's shaking. Why are you shaking, dear? Want me to promise you that you won't mess it up? Promise? Bet me $100 you won't mess it up? No? Come on. What's your name?
Bailey.
See, you didn't mess that up. I probably owe you $100. Good job, Bailey. Okay. So let me ask you this. What's your favorite thing about showing cattle?
My favorite thing about showing cattle is probably learning responsibility and probably getting to make a lot of new friends.
Very good job. Very good job. Now, I asked the easy question, so you're sunk now, okay? So I'm not just going to ask you what your name is, okay? I'm going to ask you a little harder question, okay? You got this? Ready? Okay. Why do you show cattle?
Show cattle because I've wanted to show cattle since I was a kid.
What do you want to do after high school?
Something in the agriculture business.
Come talk to me later.
You make me nervous. I'm not good at things on the spot.
This one's going to be easy, okay? It's real easy, I promise. She said she doesn't like being put on the spot. This one's going to be easy. What'd you do to your hand?
I fractured it in 4 different spots. My steer stepped on it.
Okay, so how did your hand get under the steer's foot is my next question. All right. What's the hardest thing about showing cattle?
Honestly, like, from the heart, learning the responsibility of it. Taking action.
Taking action.
That's a good one. Taking action. See, you did really well. That's okay. So here's why I do that, folks, and there's a reason. Is these young people, by the time they're seniors, and that plays nothing into my decision, none whatsoever. But I think that you young people are going to have to learn to be speakers at this level. As you become leaders within agriculture, I think you have to be able to speak in public. So all of you over here, you just lucked out today that you didn't have to speak on the mic for it, but I expect the same of you. If I've walked up to you, besides knowing your name, okay, I want you to think about those other things and talk about those things to your peers. A couple of small things. Young man with the brindle heifer, you let that heifer go to sleep on you. You got to get her head up, okay? She just goes to sleep on you. You do a really good job. I love your posture. I love your stick speed, but she goes to sleep on you. Okay, got to get her up, get her a little together a little more, get her just awake a bit more. Young man with the tan heifer calf here, there's times where she's not set and you don't catch it, okay? Just look back. Every once in a while, her back wheels just aren't right, and you got to watch that. Young lady here with the heifer that won the show earlier, I want you to change how you hold your show stick, okay? And then just slow, easy strokes. Every once in a while, you get to where you're a little fast. Over here, young lady on my left, I want you to stand up straight. There you go. Isn't that much more comfortable? You get really hunkered down, okay? Just relax. And if you'll take a deep breath, when you feel yourself getting hunched up like that, and when that old heifer's head needs to come up, don't be quite so dramatic about it. Just lift it up, okay? There, just lift it up in one single motion makes it a little easier. With that said, I'm going to go out and pick your champion showman. Congratulations to all your seniors.
Your champion senior showman goes to exhibitor 334, Jayamonte Kuhn, Caney Creek, FFA. With that, that concludes this morning's portion of the replacement heifer program. 4 o'clock this afternoon, be back in the arena. 4 o'clock this afternoon, you'll find out sale order. You'll also find out the prizes and awards.